Howdy y'all, thank you for joining us today for this unboxing of the Marvel Champions the Card Game Hero Pack, Spiderham. So what this is if you're new to the game, this is an expansion that basically is an expansion to someone who already owns the game, but if you do not own the game yet, you could buy this and be able to play the game with friends or people that have the previous stuff. And it's just already got a pre-constructed deck and everything that you need to play. And as you can see here on the back, it lets you know that. It says it's a 60 card pre-built Spiderham deck. It also lets you know that there's new cards in here, so that if you are someone who already has the game, this gives you new cards. And then it's got the Nemesis set, which you need in order to play with the character. And then also, now they also, along with new cards, have a new modular set, which I think is really a great thing. It's kind of awesome because it just adds more variety and a way to get those out there without having to do scenario packs and stuff like that. But this is pretty cool. All right, let's get right into this. And then after this, I'm going to try to get a playthrough also where I usually take this deck unchanged and I play it against Rhino, which is the kind of the starter character from the core box, and just see how the deck goes and whatnot. All right, so I actually should have mentioned there is a security strip of tape right here. I usually have that pre-cut, but that'll let you know if this was already tampered with. And if not, what you're going to want to look at when it comes inside is underneath this flap, there's going to be a little rules pamphlet thing you need to pull out. And then you should have a pack of sealed cards sitting here. All right, so right off the bat here, we're going to look at this, which is basically usually just a poster, which is the same thing as the picture in the front. But then if you look at the back of it, it's going to let you know right here any keywords or special things you may need to know, which this one's just a lot of keywords apparently that you're going to need to know in order to play with said deck. And then here it's going to let you know, because it's one of 4 aspects is what the deck is going to be built as. This one is justice. The other aspects are leadership. Oh my goodness, brain just went blank. See, justice, leadership. The other ones are protection and aggression. And then you just see the credits here. All right, let's get into this deck. And just to let you know, I'm going to go over the unique cards for Spiderham, and I'll go over some of the new stuff. But if it's something that I recognize as a card we've already seen, I'm not going to really go over that again, but I'll at least let you see it on camera to see what comes in this pack. All right, so right off the bat here, we have the character, the identity, and you can see its hero form here. It's got a 2 thwart, a 1 attack, and a 1 defense. And it says here it's a cartoon, and it is a web warrior, which means you can use a lot of the cards from the previous sets or decks that have come out, so that you can do some web warrior stuff. And it says each toon counter on Spiderham can be spent as if it were a wild resource. So Spider Nonsense response. After Spiderham takes any amount of damage, place 1 toon counter on toon counter. So every time he gets damage, he's going to get a toon counter, which is going to give you more resources. Interesting, we haven't seen anyone do that quite yet. And then on the other side is going to be their alter ego. We see here Peter Porker with a 5 recovery. And I guess that makes sense because he's probably going to, you want him to take damage. They usually have like a 3 or 4 recovery, but since he's going to be taking damage to get those resources, they're giving you that extra recovery so that you can get some more hit points back. And then we have his cartoon power response. After you make a basic recovery, place 1 toon counter on Peter Porker, which is going to give you more resources. So this is an interesting way to want to go back. All right, so after the identity, we're going to see, and it says here he's got 15 cards in his deck. These are the 15 cards that if you are playing the deck, whether you go, whatever aspect you decide to go with, you have to choose one of these 15 cards. Or you have to play with all 15 of these cards. Sorry, not one of them. You have to play with all 15 of these cards. And usually the first one is a unique ally. And we see it here. We have, it's a 3 cost. It's Captain Americat. And it's Steve Mauser. He's got 3 hit points, 2 thwart, 2 attack, 1 consequence star each. As a response, after Captain Americat enters play, give someone a high 5. Place 1 toon counter on your identity and shuffle 1 Spiderham card from your discard pile into your deck. So, builds up some resources. Ham It Up, 0 cost event, hero action thwart, remove 1 threat from a scheme for each tune counter on Spiderham. And there's 1, 2 of those. Hogwashed, 1 cost event. As a hero action, remove 1 tune counter from Spiderham. Loudly read this card's flavor text. Choose to either deal 5 damage to a minion or remove 5 threat from a side scheme. Pow, bam, whack, smack, boink. All right. Then we have a 1 cost event. I don't think so. Hero Interrupt. When you reveal a card from the encounter deck, remove 1 tune counter from Spiderham. Say, I don't think so, in your best Spiderham voice. Cancel the events of that card and discard it. So this is already making me think what I thought a lot of, if they ever do a Deadpool deck, I was like, I bet there's going to be a lot of stuff like this for Deadpool. So we're already seeing it here with Spiderham. 0 cost event, Petulant Pig, hero action, stick your tongue out at the villain. The villain attacks you, draw 3 cards. 1, 2. And then we have 3 cost event, Swinging Web Pig, hero action, attack, deal 6 damage to an enemy, confuse that enemy. And we have 3 of those. And then we have the Daily Beagle, a 2 cost support, alter ego action, exhaust the Daily Beagle, place 1 tune counter on Peter Porker. Then we have Cartoon Physics, 1 cost upgrade, interrupt. When your identity would take any amount of damage, discard this card, wiggle your body and prevent all but 1 of that damage. And we have 2 of those. 2 cost upgrade, Huge Wooden Hammer. Spiderham gets +1 attack. Hero Interrupt. When Spiderham makes a basic attack, exhaust Huge Wooden Hammer and remove 1 tune counter from Spiderham. Spiderham gets +2 attack for that attack. That attack gains Overkill. 2 cost upgrade, Organic Webbing. Spiderham gets +1 thwart. Hero action, exhaust Organic Webbing and remove 1 tune counter from Spiderham. Ready Spiderham, he gains the aerial trait until the end of the phase. So that's all 15 of his cards that you have to play with no matter what aspect you play. Next, we're going to see his Justice cards, and we'll go through the ones that are new. And usually the ally, for whatever aspect that they are built in, is always new. We see a new one here. Lady Spider, it's May Riley, 4 cost, 4 hit points, 2 thwart, 2 attack. And with its thwart, it's got a response here. After Lady Spider thwarts and removes threat from a scheme, if you control another Web Warrior card, remove an equal amount of threat from a different scheme. So while she's got 2 consequence stars on there, being able to remove 4 threat to get rid of multiple schemes seems pretty good. Then we have Spider-Man, Pavitir Probkar. Probably butchered that, sorry. 3 cost, 3 hit points, 1 thwart, 1 attack. Response, after Spider-Man enters play, remove 1 threat from a scheme for each Web Warrior card you control. So back to that Web Warrior status, our thing, card deck. All right, 2 cost event, Even the Odds. It's a requirement, means you have to use at least 1 reflex resource. As a hero action, you play this event, thwart, remove 1 per player threat from each side scheme. Deal 1 damage to the villain for each side scheme defeated this way. Interesting, especially if you're chiming that up with some of these other cards we've seen. And that is a new one, so we get 3 of them. They usually give you a play set with every new card. And sometimes you see ones, we definitely have seen this one before. I'm assuming there's going to be 3 of these in there, but this is definitely an old one. Great responsibility. But they at least give you, I'm going to give you 2 of those. Making an Entrance. I know another old one. I actually like this card quite a bit. It goes in and out of my decks depending on how I feel the deck is handling things. And this is an old one, but they give us 3 of them. Another old one, One Way or Another. I'm mixed on this one. I've used it before, but yeah, it just depends. I guess it's something like this where you're able to take care of the side schemes. This one's not bad, because you can just go get another side scheme and put it into play and get to draw a bunch of cards. All right, so we got this one. This is an old one. So far, we're seeing a bunch of old ones, not a bunch of new cards. 1 cost upgrade followed, attached to a side scheme, max 1 per scheme. Yeah, we've already got this one. I do not remember if this is new or not, so I'm going to go over it. The art looks like maybe, but it could just be I recognize the art. But 0 cost upgrade Overwatch attached to a scheme, max 1 per scheme. Hero Interrupt, when an amount of threat is removed from attached scheme by a thwart, discard this card. Remove an equal amount of threat from a different scheme. I do not think so. I do not remember that one. So I do believe that is a new one. All right, next is going to be the rest of his deck, and it's going to be a bunch of basics. Basic cards are basically cards that can be added to any deck no matter what aspect you're playing. They're just like kind of like colorless cards. All right, we got Scarlet Spider, and it is Scarlet Spider Kane. And we got 4 cost, 4 hit points, 1 thwart, 2 attack. Play only if you control a Web Warrior card. Interrupt, when you would reveal an encounter card, name a card type, then look at that card. That card is of the name type. Deal 1 damage to Scarlet Spider and draw 1 card. Then we have Spider, which was the other deck that we unboxed, the other hero, but now you have this one, which makes sense because Spider-Ham was in the Spider deck. And we got 2 costs, 2 hit points, 2 thwart, 1 attack with 2 consequence stars on thwart. And play on if you control Web Warrior. When defeated, add Spider to your hand if she was defeated by taking excess consequential damage. So it takes a huge block from the villain. You get to put her back in your hand, play her again, so you can possibly thwart again. Or, well, you wouldn't want to thwart because that would kill her, but you can attack for 1, let her get taken again. So, not bad. Actually, kind of interesting. Yeah, she wouldn't be able to help you thwart really, but being able to attack the villain for 1, then block the villain, which is going to take her out, which is going to let you put it back out. But I guess you're paying 2 for the block. I don't know. That seems pretty cool, actually. I kind of not more to think about it. All right, team building exercise. This is an old one, but interesting if you're playing with a lot of characters with the same team build, which is a lot of Web Warriors, so it would make sense. Web of Life and Destiny, another old one we've been seeing from all the Web Warriors pretty much. I didn't see it in the Spider deck, but I do remember seeing it in the others. So this is an oldie. All right, so that would be the deck. That's all you would have to play. You would just take that identity, shuffle this up, and you'd be able to play. The rest of these cards are going to be the cards you would have to hand to the person who owns the deck, or head to the person who's playing or setting up the game. Can't talk today. This first one is an obligation. Everybody has one obligation that is basically going to be shuffled into the deck, and it's going to be an obligation that if someone draws it, it gets given to you because it's an obligation you have to deal with. So far, we've only seen, if I remember right, Scarlet Witch is the only one I've seen with 2 obligations. But here's your obligation. I really want a hot dog. Give to the Peter Porker player. You may flip to alter ego form and choose. Exhaust Peter Porker, remove 1 toon counter from him. And then you get to remove this from the game. Or you are stunned. If you're already stunned, this card gains surge. Discard this obligation. And then the next cards you put off to the side. And I've only seen Shadows of the Past, which is in the main encounter deck, or there's a Mysterio card that in his encounter set that actually does something that does these or messes with these. But these are going to be about your nemesis. And the first one I usually show here is the side scheme that'll come into play from the nemesis. And it's basically Nefarious Trap. And it's got 3. When defeated, the Green Gobbler attacks the player who defeated this scheme. If the Green Gobbler is not in play, search the encounter deck and discard pile for him and put him into play. Engage with that player who defeated this scheme. And it's also going to make you draw an extra encounter card. And then next we're going to see the Green Gobbler. And you can see here he's a 4 hit points, 1 scheme, 2 attacks. Forced response. After the Green Gobbler engages you, discard all counters from each card you control. Getting rid of all your resource counters. And some of the allies who put counters on them, I guess this would knock them out. So that's kind of, And then we're going to see some cards that will just shuffle in. Usually are treacheries. This is an attachment, which would make sense because it's Green Goblin or Green Gobbler. We got the Gobbler Glider. It gives +1 scheme, +1 attack. It is surge, so that means you're going to do another card. Attached to the Green Gobbler if you cannot attach to a minion. Attached minion gains the aerial trait. Then we see a treachery. Feast on this. When revealed, take 2 damage. You are confused. If you're already confused, this card gains surge. And then we have another feast on this. And that's it. That's everything you would need to play. So everything after this is just going to be expansion type stuff. And it's going to be that minion set we talked about, which can help you just have some extra stuff for the bad guys. And then it's also going to just have some extra cards in it. We see here also on the back of this card, it's going to let you know if you want to reset up that deck. This is everything that was in that deck and how to put it back together. All right, so I'm going to assume we're not going to see any new cards that are for the other aspects since we go right to a new basic card. And we see here it's a 1-cost upgrade. Warrior of the Great Web, attached to a character with spider in its title, max 1 per character. Attached character gains the Web Warrior trait. Response, after a Web Warrior ally leaves play, attached character gets +1 attack until the end of the phase. And they're going to give us 3 of those. All right, so that was all the new cards. Now we're going to see the new, oh my goodness, I don't know why I just cannot talk today. We're going to see the new side encounter or side scheme. What do they call it? Modular set. I just call it a side encounter set. So here we see hunting the spider totems, and we see it's going to be all about the inheritors, and there's going to be 9 cards, so these will be mixed into the bad guy. And like when we do the rhino thing, normally it says to mix in bomb scare as a recommendation. I typically take it and do random, but now since they started doing this, whenever I do the playthrough with this deck, I'm going to mix this in, so it'll be rhino with the inheritors going against Spiderham here. And we see here it is a side scheme, forced interrupt with 6 threat. When the villain phase begins, discard the top 3 cards of the encounter deck. Puts each inheritor minion discarded this way into play. Engaged with a player who controls a Web Warrior character, if able. Otherwise, put each inheritor minion discarded this way into play, engaged with the first player. So, and then we're probably going to see the inheritors here. And we see Bora here. 3 scheme, 1 attack, 5 hit points. Each inheritor minion gains 1 acceleration icon, which if there's a bunch of inheritors in play, that can get really dangerous real fast. That means you're accelerating the main scheme. When revealed, if a Web Warrior character is in play, place 1 threat on each scheme. I'm assuming all the inheritors are going to get more powerful the more that are out there, because we see here also 1 scheme, 2 attack, 5 hit points. Each inheritor minion gains patrol. When revealed, if a Web Warrior character is in play, place 2 threat on the main scheme. And then we see here Deimos. Each inheritor minion gains Stalwart. So what Stalwart is basically it takes, normally you can stun or you can confuse something. In this case, you have to have 2 counters on there in order to stun them. So it makes you have to do more. And I realized I forgot to talk about patrol here. What patrol is, it's basically like the crisis thing, where basically if this character is out, you cannot thwart the main scheme is what it means. And actually, I was wrong on the Stalwart. It just made my brain, I was thinking about something that was in the spider deck. It's actually the opposite. Stalwart means it cannot be confused or stunned. So if this guy comes out, it makes it a lot harder to beat these guys. And then we see Genix here. 2 scheme, 2 attack, 6 hit points. Each inheritor gains guard, which means you have to defeat them before you can attack your villain. And then when revealed, if a Web Warrior character is in play, give Genix a tough status card, which means the first damage he takes will be ignored. We have Karn here. 1 scheme, 3 attack, 5 hit points. Each inheritor minion's attacks gain overkill and piercing. When revealed, if a Web Warrior character is in play, discard an upgrade or support you control. Piercing means it ignores that toughness, so if your guys have it, and overkill means if you block with an ally, you're basically going to have to take overkill damage or damage that it overkills over the ally. 2 scheme, 2 attack, 5 hit points. Each inheritor minion gains +1 attack. If a Web Warrior character is in play, take 2 damage. And then Solus, 2 scheme, 3 attack, 7 hit points. Each inheritor minion gains Villainous. I figured there's going to have to be one that gains Villainous. So normally the attack of a minion is just that. It don't get no boost like the villain does. This is going to make it to where it's going to get a boost card and boosted damage. So that's kind of not good if this guy's out. So you need to take him down. And of course, 7 hit points. That's a lot of damage. When revealed, if a Web Warrior character is in play, give Solus a 1 face down boost card. And then the last one, Verna. 1 scheme, 1 attack, 6 hit points. Each inherited minion gains Retaliate 1. When revealed, if a Web Warrior character is in play, deal 1 damage to each character you control. All right, with that, that's everything that's in the deck. We're going to get this sleeved up and try to get a playthrough where we'll do Spiderham and see how he goes against Rhino and see how the deck works. If you could watch that and see how it plays. I will say... yeah, joking aside, yeah, I like the things that, you know, I think it's kind of cool the way it makes you just do little side things. I know some people I play with don't even do them. They'll be like, that's just stupid. But I do like the way this plays. I do want to try it out and see what it's all about. If this is anything like it normally is, I was looking forward to playing Spiderham. Not so much a Spider, really just because I don't know the character Spider. But I can say... typically, when they release 2 decks or they come with 2 decks in the little campaign things, usually one deck is I'm really looking forward to playing, and the other one I'm like, meh. And it ends up being the opposite. The one I was looking forward to playing is the one that I enjoyed the least. I ended up enjoying the one I didn't think I would want to play. But we'll see if that holds up on this one. I will say I wasn't really all that interested after looking at this one, but that was just going through a quick through. We'll see how it goes. And I still want to play it. I'm always interested in playing these decks. I shouldn't say not interested, just... not as excited, I should say. This one looks like something I really want to play. Let's just see if they went too far into the joking aside and didn't really make it something that you really want to play. But, all right, with that, thank you for watching and have a great day.